Okay, hey guys, sorry I had a little trouble turning the screen around there for a second. But I thought I would come to you today. I'm going to do a review video on my Fitbit Alta, or Alta, however you say it. I've had it now for like almost 2 weeks, I think. And so yeah, so I've used it quite a bit, and I think I can give you a review. This is not an unboxing. I don't even have the box anymore. So, but yeah. So this is what it looks like on my wrist. I have mine kind of loose because it doesn't have a heart rate monitor, so I don't have to have it tight on there. But I have mine kind of loose, so it kind of just jiggles around. That way, because I feel like when I tighten it up, sometimes my arm sweats underneath and then it feels clammy and weird. But this, if you're not familiar, this one is the one that does, it'll do steps, miles, sleep, calories burned. You can enter your exercises on the app. So it does a lot of stuff. It does not do the heart rate monitor. It also does text messaging across the front and calls across the front. So I'll take it off because I think it'll be easier for me to show it to you when it's not on my wrist. This is what it looks like. And mine I have set up, where it shows the time, and you tap it again. Sorry. Sometimes it's a little bit more responsive than others. How many steps I've walked. And then it shows the calories I've burned today. And you just, those are the only 3 things I have on here for tapping, is the time, the calories, and the steps walked. I found that the more things I have across the screen, the more my battery gets used up. So I just kind of limited it to those 3 things. Really, the miles I can look on my phone. I don't need it to show on my wrist. It scrolls across if somebody texts or calls you. What it does is it'll do it this way. So it'll say their name. So it would say like Jennifer, and then it'll say the first line of the text, not the whole thing. So it does have a limit as to how much it can scroll across there, but it's enough to kind of, for one, it'll tell you who's texting you, whether you need to go back and text them, and then it'll tell you enough of the text that you kind of get the gist. And when it calls, it'll tell you the name of the person or the phone number if you don't have their name in the system, and it'll scroll across a couple of times. So that's useful, and it does work with your Bluetooth. So you have to leave your Bluetooth on your phone for that to work. And so yeah, so I'll talk about the band. It is this kind of rubbery, it's soft, and it's got like this, it's got a little texture going on to it. You hook it up onto your wrist with these 2 little, I don't know, buttons things on here, and they just kind of push down into the band and kind of hook. You can see it right here. This is the charging thing down underneath here, in case you saw that. Right there, that's how you hook the charger up. And it does have its own specific charger. You have to have just the charger for this one. It doesn't work for any other Fitbits. A lot of people, when I was seeing reviews, they were saying they have a really hard time hooking it up to their wrists. People were saying they had to have help and they couldn't do it by themselves. When it comes to you, and I guess it really depends on which wrist you hook it up on. It'll come to you. I have mine like this, so that when I put it on my wrist, the little buttons are on this side. So all I have to do is hold. It's hard to show you upside down. So I hold it, and I can just press these into here. And it's really easy. I can do it with one hand. But when it comes to you, it comes the other way. So that, and I could imagine this would be very difficult to do it this way. Still not impossible, like people are saying. But all you have to do, if you find it easier one way or the other, these come right off. There's a little push button underneath, and they just come right off. You can just switch them. So that's just, I did that. Very first thing I did was I swapped them so that it would be easier for me to get it on and off. And they just hook on really easily. It's got a little snap. You can hear it so that you know that it's secure. Yeah, so I've worn it for quite a while. Well, not quite a while, like 2 weeks now, and I do really like it. Let me put it back on my wrist. And see, I've got it on. It took me like 2 seconds to get it on. So basically, most things, what it does is you see the kind of like, you know, real quick data on your wrist, but the app is really where you see all of your stuff. So let me open it up for you. And it will sync on there. I hope you can see it. I don't know how the phone's going to show up on here, but it says what my device is right here, and it's syncing. And then it says how many steps I've taken today so far. This second thing right here where you see the dots, that's a goal, and I can change that. It's set up for like 9 hours, and they want you to do 250 steps per hour. So you can see so far I have met 3 of my 9 hours goal right there. And it will vibrate on your wrist and kind of remind you that you need to get up and walk around and meet your goal. It tells you how many miles you've walked, how many calories you've burned, how many minutes that you've been active. And that's not like minutes, like walking around minutes. That's like, I went for a walk. I walked around the block, or I went for a run. I don't run, but I went for a hike. Active minutes, actually up doing something like an exercise, not just walking around the house or at work. I have where I went on a walk around the block, and it tells you, I'm trying to see if I can show you this without showing you where I live. It tells you, it's got a GPS in your phone that it can access so that it maps your walk. So that it'll show you, actually on a map, you're not going to see the road names and all that, but it'll show you the trail that you walked. This is when we went to the park. Looks kind of like a fish, but it'll show you how many miles you did, what your pace was, how many calories you burned, all that kind of stuff. And I even did Zumba. It's got a little Zumba symbol right there. But, and it wants you to do, at the top, it's got a goal of 5 exercises, 5 active exercise things in a week. They want you to do like 5 times you walked around the block, or, you know, whatever like that. So the app is really good at setting goals for you, to kind of, so that small goals, so that you can hit them and not be like really, you know, bleh, I didn't get my goals. It also has a sleep tracker, and you can alter that as well. Like all of these goals you can change. If you don't think that you want to do like 250 steps every hour for 9 hours, change it to 8 hours. Or if you think you can do more than that, change it to 400 steps every hour, or whatever. You can change it to your level of what you're capable of doing, or what you want to do, like what your goals are. The sleep tracker is pretty cool. It's not quite as accurate, I wouldn't think, as the Charge HR, which has the heart rate monitor. But it does tell you like how much you've slept, and if you go in, you have a goal of 8 hours. You can change that too if you're, you know, optimum sleep is not 8 hours. But it will tell you how many minutes it took you to fall asleep, how many times you woke up, how many times you were restless, and how many minutes together that you woke up, that you were awake and restless. And what it does, which I think is pretty cool, is you start, on this one, it says it's automatic sleep tracking. I don't think it's automatic, because you have to tell it that you're going to sleep. What you do, which is not a big deal. You're laying in bed, you're about to go to sleep. You just hit the plus button, and you hit begin sleep now. It's not hard. So what you do is you do that, and it comes up a little moon guy with a smiley face like he's going to sleep. And then when you wake up, you just tell it, hey, I'm awake. So what I think is kind of cool though, let me see if I can find one where it was pretty drastic. Here it is. It shows you this chart across the top of like where your hours were that you were restless and where your hours were that you aren't and you were actually asleep. But what it'll do is down here, it shows I was restless or awake 1 hour and 7 minutes, okay? So what it does is it subtracts, this 9 hours and 27 minutes is not the exact time that I hit the button saying I was asleep and hit the button saying I was awake. This is minus this hour and something. So I think that's pretty cool that, so if you go to sleep and you sleep 5 hours, but you were restless 1.5 hours out of those 5 hours, it'll tell you only slept, you know, it'll minus that out of your total. So you kind of get a better judge of actually how long you're asleep. Now I don't think it would be as accurate as if you had the heart rate monitor, but you know. It also tell you how many calories that you've burned. It's in, let me see if I can hit it. There's a little thing on there that tells you how many calories that you burned and all that kind of stuff. I will show you how I enter that in just a minute. There's also a water goal, which for me, this one's really important because I do not drink enough water. I don't even drink enough liquids, period. Like, I have to kind of remind myself to drink stuff. I'm just not a person who carries around a drink and drinks stuff. So there is a chart on here. And if you notice, this line across the top is your goal, where you're supposed to be. I'm not near that in most of my times. There's even a couple of days on here where I did not drink any water at all, which is horrible. This is helping me actually remember to drink more water. I drink Diet Cokes, which is not good necessarily, but so I didn't, those days that you saw where there wasn't any water, I didn't not drink anything all day. I just didn't drink any water. So, and on here, it's yellow because I've drank some water, but I'm not at my goal. And then on here, this one's red because I've had 26 minutes of activity today, and your goal is 30 minutes of activity a day. So, yeah. Sorry, dog's barking. The freaking washing machine just went off, so I don't know why they're barking. But you do set it on different things. You can tell it what hand, you have to tell it what hand you are, like your handedness, and then you have to tell it what hand you're going to wear the wristband on. So I am left-handed, but I wear it on my right hand because I didn't want it to do steps every time I write a piece of paper or whatever. And this is in here is where you can tell it all kinds of stuff, like, you know, how many notifications you want. I will tell you, because this is funny, I wanted to do the silent alarm and I couldn't find it anywhere. So for those, and I couldn't find any help as to where the silent alarm was. So for those of you like me who are a little dense about the silent alarm, what you do is on this screen, this is your main screen, you click the Alta button, okay? And then down here, you click the silent alarm button. I don't know why it was so difficult for me to find it. It seems so simple right there. But there's also a thing on here where you can find your friends and kind of compete with your friends. There are also, and this is pretty cool, I think. There are apps that connect with the Fitbit app. Some of them are useless, I think. Like, there is a water app that you can put in your water, how much you drink. Well, there in the Fitbit, there's a thing where you log your water. So why put that in there? There's also, like, you can link Map My Run to Fitbit, but Fitbit already can track your walking. So, you know, if you're already using those apps and you get a Fitbit, I could understand connecting it because you're used to using that other app. But those are kind of not as useful in my opinion. The one that is useful, and I have been using a lot, is the Lose It app. And what it'll do is it actually tracks on here. It connects in with the Fitbit and it tells it how many like steps I've taken, all that kind of stuff. But the Lose It app is where you can log your food, and that's, you know, shows your calories. And Fitbit's really great, or Lose It's really great with doing the food. It's got a lot of different kinds of food on there. So I would suggest, if you're wanting to kind of calorie count too, but not be so like rah about it, get the Lose It app to go with your Fitbit app, because it's great. It makes you a little bit more aware of like what you're eating, how many calories, and like the fat content, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I'm trying to think what else I can say. Things that I've noticed. For one, when I figured out how to use the silent alarm, I did not like it. It kind of freaked me out from being asleep. My hand started vibrating and I was like, "Whoa!" So I did not like that. It is not waterproof, so you can't wear it in the shower. You can't swim. You can wash your hands. You can walk in the rain, I would suppose. You sweat is fine. That doesn't really bother me. When I take a bath or a shower, that's when I charge it, when I need to. I've only had to charge it once outside the first charging. So, mine, the first go around between when I charged it originally and after wearing it, and then I had to charge it again when the battery died, was 6 days. So I got 6 days of usage out of it. 5 days is your normal. I will tell you a little hint. I wish I had the charger in here with me. I had trouble charging it straight out of the box. I was a little upset because I thought there was something wrong with it. I'd waited for it for quite a while, and I thought there was something wrong with it. So I had to get onto the Fitbit site and use their customer service. And there is actually, on your charger, there's a little button at the base of the charger. And what I had to do was I had to push that in 3 or 4 times and wait, and then push it 3 times again, and then it connected and it started charging. So if you have that trouble and your Fitbit's not charging, look for that little, it's just a little, you can just depress it. It's not a poking out button. It's just something you can depress. And that helped me a lot. It helped charge my phone a lot, or my Fitbit. It charged really fast after that. It took like 20 minutes and it was fully charged. So, yes, if you have that trouble, because that was another thing that I couldn't really find any help for on the internet. I don't know if I was the only one who's had that trouble, but if you do, just push that little button a few times and you'll see your Fitbit will vibrate, and then the battery icon it'll be a battery with the inside of it's moving. That's how you know it's charging. The other thing I've noticed is that it's not really that accurate with steps, which doesn't really bother me that much, because nothing's going to be great, like 100% accurate, I don't think, because you got your arm swinging, you reach for stuff, you've got your normal activities for the day. You know, it's not going to be, I don't think any band that you put on your wrist or whatever is going to be 100% accurate with your steps. But I feel like even though it's not 100% accurate with your steps, it's still a really good tool to help you remember to get moving, to keep moving, kind of set goals for yourself. And that's what I use mine for. I'm not a hardcore like working out person. I mean, obviously you can see me, I'm not like, you know, but anyway, what my use for it is to kind of motivate me to remember to drink more water, to kind of be conscious of how much I'm active and how much I'm sedentary, to kind of just motivate me to get out and walk around the block, because it's kind of fun to see how fast you went and how many miles you did. So I think it's a really good motivating tool. Like if you need something to kind of like kick you into reminding you to get up and walk, and reminding you not to just sit on the couch and that kind of thing, it's really good for that. It is kind of an expensive item just for, you know, getting you motivated, but I have enjoyed it. I think it's worth the money. I do kind of wish it had the heart rate monitor, but you know, you can't have everything. I like the style of this a lot more than the style of the Charge HR. So that's really what decided it for me. The Charge HR was a little bit too clunky for me, too big, and I knew I'd have to wear it tight on my wrist to get the, or snug at least, to get the heart rate monitor going. And I felt like for my first kind of foray into having to wear one of these all the time, it would be kind of annoying for me to have that on my wrist. So, trying to think of what else. Oh, so the biggest thing, the biggest hassle with this whole thing has not even been, like, I've had almost no problems pretty much with the actual device. No problems with the app. It's worked great, just like it said it would. My major problem came with actually getting the Fitbit. So, you know, when they came out with them, they didn't announce an exact date. They said sometime in May. Well, sometime in March. I'm sorry, because we're not, you know. Sometime in March. Okay, well, March is a whole month. Sometime in March. So, they came out on Fitbit, the site. You could order them from the site. And they had, they didn't have, of course, the only one they were out of on their site was the one I wanted. So I was like, dang it. So Amazon was letting you pre-order them. And eventually they had all of the other ones except for the one I wanted again. They did have the bands. I could have ordered the band in the size and the color I wanted and ordered the Fitbit in a different color, but you know, that's kind of silly. So what happened was that I went to Best Buy on their site, and they had the Fitbit, the teal, the color that I want, and the size that I want. They had it in the store. So we'd already put our order in through Amazon. So I emailed Amazon and I said, hey, just wondering if you have an estimate to when you're going to have them in stock, because my local place already has them, and I don't, you know, I'll wait if y'all are going to have them in stock pretty soon. I'm going to be shipping them out, or, you know, I don't want to just cancel my order, basically is what I was going. So they wrote back and said that the teal Fitbit in a large had not been released yet. Okay. But every other color and size had been released? That didn't make any sense. So I emailed him back. I said, well, that's a little strange because the Best Buy down the street from me has the teal in stock right now. And they just were like, oh, well, it's not released yet. So needless to say, we canceled our order with Amazon, and I went and got it at Best Buy. Had it the same day, no problem. Wasn't not released yet or anything. So I'm not real sure, like, if I just got a bad customer service person at Amazon or what, but that was not a great experience. But yeah, other than that though, since I've gotten it, it's been a great experience. I've really liked it. It has really helped me stay motivated and like got out and walked. I did 2 miles today. So yeah, like I'm really enjoying it. I think it's a good investment. I think if you're a hardcore workout person, you're probably going to need to kind of upgrade to a different, I would suggest a different one. But if you're someone like me who's just wanting the activity type tracker, then I think this is really great. And it is a little bit cheaper than Charge HR, which is another plus. So yeah, and really, I know there's all these other kind of Fitbit-esque trackers on the market. I think really I'm trying to figure out how to explain this. The tracker itself is great, but what really makes the difference is the app. So if you're planning on getting a different brand of tracker, kind of investigate how their app is set up and if you like their app, because that's where you get all your data from, where you see all your stuff. Kind of like, that's more important almost than the actual tracker itself. So that's my main suggestion. If you're going to get something that's not a Fitbit or a Garmin, I think the Garmin things have a really great app. So if you're going to get one that's like a different brand or a lesser known brand, double check and make sure that they're kind of the software that goes with it is really good, because that's the most important, I think. Like, that's where all your stuff comes from. So yeah, so I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope it was helpful. If you have any questions or anything I missed or anything like that, just do me a comment and I'll get back to you. I'm sure there's something that I forgot to talk about or whatever. But yeah, my Fitbit. I really, really like it. I give it 2 thumbs up. See you guys.